non-governmental organization, Save the Future of Children Initiative, Safin, has called for concerted efforts in protecting children and seeking better rights for children as a safeguard against the various vices that befall their demography and population statistics of Nigeria. The N.G.O, which specializes in protecting the right of children while commemorating the 2022 Children's Day, gathered stakeholders who highlighted reasons that child rights are violated, therefore and suggested ways of eradicating all forms of child rights violations. Speaking at the event, the Convenyner, Mr. Olufemi Solomon Oyedeji, stated the need for concerted efforts by stakeholders and relevant agencies in the defense of children's rights and privileges under the law. Other stakeholders also spoke on the need to protect rights of children.
Ending trafficking, violence, all forms of violence against children by 2030. And one of them is to have poverty, to end poverty, which is SDG Goal 1, because child poverty is another serious predisposing factor to abuse and exploitation and trafficking of our children. Because if a child lacks basic things like food, clothing, shelter, such child is vulnerable. There is a push and pull factor for trafficking and abuse. So if this is not addressed, you will realize that no matter what we do to end violence, it will continue because we have not addressed the issue of poverty. And then we are also talking about SDG Goal 2, which is zero hunger. If somebody is hungry, and what the Yoruba said, ebi kokin panu, so hunger, both adults, let alone children, predispose them, because if these children are not well fed, they will be malnutritious, they will fall sick and all of that. And when somebody offers them biscuits on the way, they will be tempted because they are hungry. But if there is food security at the family level and these children have adequate access to food, they will live healthy, they will learn well. Goal 3 is also talking about the well-being of these children, that we end child mortality and all of those things. And we are also looking at Goal 4, which is quality, compulsory, free basic education for all our children. If these children are in school, they are not likely to be trafficked, they are not likely to be in child labor, and they will break the circle of poverty. The statistics by UNESCO and UNICEF made us to understand that Nigeria has 12.5 million children. That number, if not double, will be more than 10.5 million. It's now 12 million. So what are we to Native Commander? They have seen so much underage. Many of these children are between 5 and 15 that are being trafficked every time. So there is need for synergy. There is need for collaboration. So, and they need to be in school. So we will be advocating for all of this, improve basic education, access of these children to basic education. They should be in school, and vocational skills too. They need hands-on skills. The reason why a lot of young people in Nigeria today are struggling to make ends meet is because many have gone to school and they are educated, but there are no hands-on skills to fetch them the urgent 2K, the urgent 5K that will keep them going until they secure a white-collar job or a better job. As a matter of fact, Nigerian graduates are supposed to be creating jobs, but the way we are trained, so our curriculum, there is need for revolution in our academics curriculum to meet the global target of providing decent work for the young population in this country. So we'll be advocating for all of this, and we'll be working with government officials, we'll be working with community leaders, we'll be working with individual academics, we'll be conducting even research along this line. We have tentatively the support of STT UK. I'm sure they are online too watching because they promised to join online. STT UK is Stop the Traffic United Kingdom. They have extended their hands of friendship to us based on our interaction with them on our online platform, because we also join a lot of international network. Safin is a member of the Alliance for Child Protection in Humanitarian Crisis, which is also a global network, just like STT UK is a UK N.G.O. They are giving us technical support in the meantime. But I hope and I believe that as we progress and we begin to generate report and reasonable data to really showcase that we have a problem here in the country, of which we will fully carry NAPTIP along, because NAPTIP is actually the government agency at the federal level that is shadowed with the responsibility of coordinating all efforts in human trafficking and gender-based violence. Close to them, they will be in the full glare of what we do, and we'll also be partnering with the community. So whenever we knock at your door, sir, we believe that you avail us that opportunity to make life better for our children. We also hope that as we move on, the structures and mechanisms that the government is supposed to put in place to safeguard these children from harm, including exploitation, as established in the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child and the African Charter on the Right and Welfare of Children, will be put in place by the government. And one of it that we have been advocating for, sir, for almost 16 years in Ghana, is the implementation of the Child Rights Law by ensuring that the Child Rights Implementation Committee is inaugurated across board in the state, and that is across the 16 local government and at the state level. Up until now, this has not been done. And if these structures are not in place, if these mechanisms are not in place, no matter what we do, our efforts may just have little impact. So we will be advocating strongly, we will be meeting with policymakers to ensuring that they understand the import of this and that these structures are put in place, because the Child Rights Law of Kwara State 2006 made adequate provision for these mechanisms and structure, including family courts, including a proper shelter, including the committee itself, including social protection services for these children. All these are stated in page 525 of the Child Rights Law. When we go there, the composition of the Child Rights Implementation Committee is also well spelled out in this Child Rights Law. So we will also be advocating for this. We believe that if these structures and mechanisms are in place, children, when they are abused, they will have where to report to, they will know who to meet in the community, because these committees are also supposed to be based in the community, comprising stakeholders, including traditional rulers, the police officers, NAPTIP officers, health workers, social workers, and NGOs that are working with children. So this is the composition. I think about 27-man committee headed by the PAMSED, Ministry of Women Affairs, as stated in that Child Rights Law. So we hope that we synergize also with Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Social Development, Ministry of Education, because we are talking about access to education and also ending violence in basic education. A lot of bullying going on in our schools, and many of these schools do not have in place child protection policy. They are supposed to have child protection policy. So these are the things ministry will be doing for us, giving the schools directive, and we are ready to build the capacity of the school and support them to develop their child protection policy, because we have also received capacity from international communities to be able to do this. We are also at the moment a member of End Violence Against Children Partnership, but we have not become a full member because there are criteria to meet. This project will also afford us that opportunity to meet that criteria, and then we will be a full member of End Violence Partnership, which is a global body that is working to ensuring that by 2030 we end violence against children.
To appreciate the convener of this program, because this has been a very critical issue that are facing the society. In essence, both the Ministry of Social Development and Women Affairs are seriously concerned with increase in all these menace, and how do we curb it? One of the ways is this type of program. So we appreciate the convener, and we want you to put more effort so that we can synergize effort so that we can combat this problem once and for all. Thank you very much.
Nigerian children, because it's an international day, and we pray that these children will be blessed and prosperous and take Nigeria to greater heights. The issue you have just raised is a pertinent one, a contemporary one that affects every beam of the society. But there is nothing we can do than to ensure that we domesticate it. We should ensure that we are committed and passionate. Our orientation is very terrible. Before, the orientation is every child counts. I'm a mother. In my area, I'm a mother to all. But the recent development is I'm a mother to my own children alone. Because you cannot just accost somebody on the road and say, oh, you are not well dressed. Like our mothers used to do before. But here we are. In case you do that, the mother of that child will visit your house to let you know that you are not the direct mother. You are not even the mother. What right have you? Then our children going to school, how many of us are monitoring them? So the issue of trafficking, there is always the issue of readiness to take action and know that every child counts and the society belongs to all of us. The little you are able to contribute to the development of the nation can start from your own family unit, from your neighbors. The issue of trafficking, if you see anybody going on public transport with more than 4 or 5 children, and you will see the faces of these children not palatable, you will be able to accost the person and find out what is happening. Then I think our religious leaders too should be able to join us in this crusade, both the Muslim and the Christian faith. When they add their voices at their religious places on Fridays and on Sundays, people will know that we actually need them. In support of their spiritual development efforts, they should also be able to enlighten the public on how to take proper care of their children. Look at the high level of violence. The exposure that the COVID-19 gave us in the recent year actually let us know that the whole world is a terrible place. When you talk about violence, abuse of salt. The issue we narrated of a lady in Zango, though physically challenged, but the mother just sent her on an errand, and another stupid man accosted her and just put her at an uncompleted building and raped her. You know, the mother was, looking at the time and said, this girl is supposed to have been taught, it's just about 30 minutes. Grinding pepper should not take less than 10 minutes, 20 minutes. So the woman was able to spur into action and caught them in the act. But already they are finished. The man was just trying to dress up. The woman got them. Even with that, the man denied. Assuming if the woman didn't get there on time, what happens? Look at the issue of offer. The lady was raped and also killed, maiming and killing. Look at the recent development in the political era now. The issue of kidnapping really quickly died down a bit. You will see what happens in the next few weeks. So there is need for us to be able to sustain, fight, rigorous fight against any violence, trafficking. And I want to appreciate our brother Napti. He hosted us sometime in Oshogo. And now that we have an office in Ilorin, we hope the office will be proactive and join NACTA on this effort. We are doing a lot. The money is not just there. Contributing every time as a network to support the program. But as an individual, there is always an opportunity for us to protect the integrity of our nation, of our children, of our society. Trafficking is very terrible. The kidnappers when they kidnap their victims, when they are able to come back into town, when you listen to them, you will see that it's actually so sorrowful and deadly. They will be raped many times before night. They will be maimed, no real food. And in fact, if they eventually release their victims, it's always direct for medical treatment, even if they are able to escape. Thank you very much, Safin, for the opportunity, and best wishes to us. Congratulations to our girl child, to the whole world, and to our children celebrating International Day of the Children. We pray that they become future leaders of the nation and reorientate us so that we have a brighter nation and giant of the world, not only giant of Africa, because we are already becoming an ant in the history of Africa. I was in Ghana. I was just packing. I bought some things, and the woman I said, "Don't you have Ghana must go?" So I just pack it in a big bag. The man just said, madam, no, you are in Ghana. It's Nigeria that must go. I said, oh, that is true. Thank you very much. Look at that orientation. They are so passionate about their country. We are never passionate about our country. We are always condemning Nigeria. We should hold on to the Nigeria that we know in the past and put in our effort to ensure restoration of dignity and abundance in Nigeria. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
My appeal is to all of us, because, as I said earlier, wọ́n ní ilẹ̀kùn àjọ kan gbogbo ayé ló ń bá ní gbé. This fight is not for, government agencies alone. No, it's not for the ministries, NAPTIP. No, if we really want this fight to be brought to a halt, it is something we should all embrace. Fine, the state is making its effort to ensure that there is sensitization. We need more effort in that aspect. More sensitization. People should be aware of what is bad and what is good. The good practices. People should be aware. So that somebody will be able to tell somebody if he's doing something wrong, that, oh, look, what you are doing is wrong. Because our ability to say something, if we see something, we go a long way in curbing these menace. Fine, poverty is part of it. It's part of what is causing all these things. But it's not just poverty. Greed is there. Ignorance is there. So all these things make children to be vulnerable. Because it is when the parents are enlightened that children will be enlightened as well. So please, this project is a project for all of us. So if we see something, we should be able to say something and even be able to do something. So, well, I know as time goes on, we will all have numbers that we can call on. As far as NAPTIP is concerned, we have this number 627, that if you call to that number or you text to that number, it's toll free anyway, 627 anytime. If you see anything that is going on, wrong about the child, so you can always call on that. And I know in Kwara State will soon come up with a number that anybody can, call if you see or observe something that is not going as it's supposed to be about children. So please, I want us to bear in mind this, that if we see something, we should say something and also do something. Thank you and God bless.
My observation is on justice based on this perpetrator, the abuser. I think we should make sure that justice is real. For those people that are acting this part of this menace, at least once they are justice, other people that are planning to do such will try to cope once they see the punishment for others. But in some cases, we see that once the perpetrator was accused, later we discover it has been released. And this is increasing the rate of this menace, to my observation. Firstly, I have to appreciate him. He has done wonderfully well for my department. We appreciate your immeasurable support to my department. God will continue to strengthen you. Not only that, Mr. Femi has already raised an issue regarding this of memo written on this implementation of child rights committee. If that one is put in place, all these issues you are talking about has been copped. But because of that one, the children cause were not asked. How do we make it to be heard? It's through this committee. So all of us in this hall, I want to seek for your indulgence. So let us work towards actualization of this implementation of child rights implementation committee. Thank you, and God bless every one of us.
To thank the organizer of this seat. It was a very good program in short. But my observation is that if the charity particularly go along with this child right activity, that the slave, how will I put it, the future of children initiative that we are talking about the child trafficking, sorry. You know, as the Yoruba adage says, I mean, if you observe, poverty is part of the problem that causes all these things. And until the enough sensitization have to go around, even to the community leaders, and sensitize them now about the dangers on this act, and allow them to know the punishment that anybody that the perpetrator of this act. Until those things are done, I think the thing might be increased. So on this issue, I will seek the indulgence of the organizer to let us work more on the sensitization so that it can go down to the villages and to the grassroots. Thank you very much.
Before I say anything, I would like to appreciate the convener of this program. He is someone whom, if I start talking about him, I want to believe till 2 p.m. we are still here. But thank God we all know him. May God continue to strengthen you, sir. In fact, some of the fewer things I would like to say here today, some of my mothers and fathers here, they really talked about them. But to me, I think the main problem to me, I think is poor parenting. And that is where the problem is starting from. Like they say charity begins at home. And nowadays, when we look at some of our parents, now what we focus on now is not our children anymore, but we focus on our jobs. We focus on how to increase the 1 naira we have in our account, and all our children are neglected. And as parents, we have 3 roles to perform. The number 1 role of protection, the second role of provision, and the third role of guidance. How many parents, how many of us nowadays do all those things? When Director was talking about poverty the other time, it's under provision. It's under provisional role of the parent. So many of us, we do not feed them, we don't give them anything. When they get to school, we don't know who are these people. I give an example of students in university, for example. I want to believe many parents, they leave students to go to university, only school fees. At times when you ask some students why they indulge in some activities, they will tell you their parents only give them school fees. These parents do not know where they sleep. These people, they do not know where they eat. They do not know the kind of clothes they wear. Some of them, they go out with boys, they go out with, because why? These people, they are performing your role. That is the provisional role of the parents. We do not give them. 2, we are not protecting our children. We are not protecting them. The third one, we are not guiding them. And let me tell you, there's no how you want to guide your own children without guiding other people's children. Because let me tell you, you say, okay, fine, sit down there, I've slapped you, this is what you must do, you must do this, you must do that. Those children will go out to school. They mingle with people in society. So when you say, oh, I want to be the then you will see, they will behave them for you. So that was why I said earlier on that the main problem here is poor parenting. And if we are to cut that, we have to replace it with what? With good parenting. I think another one that I jotted here is also good education. Some of our teachers nowadays, they are not teachers again, they are cheaters. what they are expected to teach, they are not teaching the children. Many people, when you go to secondary schools, I'm sorry to pinpoint that particular part. Honestly, what they do nowadays, they do not teach. They do not teach these people. So what we are really saying, many of us will be focusing on government. Yes, government is actually the problem. But are we actually performing our roles to wherever we are? We are not performing anything. The third one, that so I think someone talked about that too. Government policy, I think that's a problem. But like I said earlier on, if we all perform our duties, if we all perform our responsibilities, I want to believe some of these things that the government will do will be minimal. Look at the other time we were talking about this punishment of the thing. Yes, government, they have more issues on that. I think Mommy talked about that. We've seen cases. At times I do sit down, when I sit down with people, so someone will come to court and the person will have told the court that I'm guilty of rape. Then 2-3 weeks later, that person will come and say I'm not guilty. Someone has come to say I'm guilty of rape. Then 2 weeks later, the government, or let me say the judiciary part, they will now adjourn the rape case from January to September. This person will be allowed to go on bail. What are we saying? What kind of messages are we passing around to other protesters? And that's exactly what is going on. But if, like I do say, I do tell people that some of these people, look at some of these people, they normally get around the arrest around the abductors, kidnappers, etc. When you do some of these, at times perform some of these, even though I don't know, maybe the human rights may allow that, some of their punishment make some of this thing national. When people see it, say it on social media, let people see this, how you are punishing this person. I want to believe many people will stop. Even if they have these bad intentions, many people will stop. But I want to believe that these are actually going to be taken care of. The last one I'm going to start with religious leaders. You see, these are our fathers, these are our pastors, they have more things to do. And unfortunately, many of them are knowledgeable, but they are not preaching with wisdom. Look at so many cases that we are hearing around. It's because some of these people, and I want to tag so many of them as extremists. And you know what, some of these children very well. They immediately they go to, maybe they attend churches, they attend mosques, whatever thing they hear from their imams or their pastors, if it's not well explained to these people, they will want to perform them. Look at the cases. I don't want to mention any name. We know what is actually going on now. So I think religious leaders should also be part of what Safin will also be looking into. So I think these are just the fewer things I have jotted here. Thank you very much.
The Permanent Secretary, Women's Affairs in Absentia, all the directors present here, the NACTIV commander, and all the government agencies, the CBO's presence. I can see Oyedeji, thank you. I can see IG, thank you, ma. And all the special guest of honor that are here, including my volunteers, my members there. I would like, on the final note, I would like to say this issue of child abuse and child trafficking is a thing we have to put all our hands on deck, because it's not a thing that someone can do alone. So I will employ all the government agencies, CBOs, the NACTIV commander, and everyone that is interested in ending these menace. We should just put all our hands together to ensure we enjoy this, because these children are the future of tomorrow. If we don't take care of them now, there will be problems in the future. As you can imagine, if a child is maltreated now or abused, there will be psychological problem throughout his lifetime. And there's possibility, if a child is psychologically imbalanced, the future generation will not be balanced. So it's better now we put all our hands on deck so that we can take care of these children. Thank you very much.
Please, can we know you, sir?
My name is Sadu Mustafa Ajala, the commander, NACTIV Kwara State Command.
We hear of several cases of sexual abuse, rape, and trafficking. What do you think is the cause of this increase?
Well, there are so many factors that cause trafficking and other related vices. For instance, poverty is one of those factors. You see, generally we categorize the factors of trafficking as push and pull factors. The push are those ones that make person to leave his natural, natural area of, residence outside. Those are the factors that push you out. Then the pull are the factors that attract you to other destinations. So some of these factors, for instance, poverty is one of them. Where poverty is rife, definitely the children there will be vulnerable to trafficking and other vices. Then where there is ignorance, where people are not aware of what is right and what is not right, so children will be vulnerable. Where this lack of employment and all that, so these are greed is also one of the, because if we are looking at the reason why some people are trafficked, if you look at the circumstances of why some people are trafficked, you will discover that there's greed. Let me give you an instance. Somebody that sold his or her property worth certain hundreds of thousands of naira, and still make himself or herself vulnerable to trafficking. That one has to do with greed, because with that amount he can start something on it if he really believes in himself. Then this false idea that when you go abroad, maybe you pick dollars on the road. All these things make people to be vulnerable.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
No, I'm not going to advertise you on this thing. Can we know you?
My name is Ajia Alabi Idiot.
Okay. What do you understand by this menace of child trafficking, sexual abuse, and the rest?
Child trafficking is a very serious menace that is affecting our ministry, because the mandate of my ministry is to ensure that all children are well taken care of, irrespective of their vulnerability. So some of these children are vulnerable in one way or the other. They are being abused in one way or the other. We have a huge record for the issue of rape, molestation, child labor, child trafficking, and also of other. And we are working tirelessly, because government is giving us all the necessary support to ensure that the state is free from this all form of abuse and trafficking, through advocacy visits at traditional ruler, the religious leader, and all the concerned stakeholders, even the security agency. We are working together to ensure that this Kwara state is free from all form of abuse and child trafficking. We appreciate it.
Doctor, sir. Okay. So can we know you, sir?
My name is James Kayode David, Director Social Welfare, Kwara State.
All right. Why do you think there is increase in social menace like sexual abuse, sexual harassment, rape, and kidnapping in our society?
There is nothing new in all these cases that are coming up. One of the major factors that are responsible is poor economic development of the nation. If the country is okay economically, we will not have all these crimes. But because there is less employment, the economic is not buoyant, so all these are forcing people into crime.
And what is the state government, their response? What are they doing to curb these issues?
There are a lot of programs on by the Kwara State government in employing our teeming youth even into the government service, and to ensure that they are having a job of their own, that is a self-employment. Not only that, the state government of recent make an empowerment program in which our women are empowered with different machineries in which they can make use of to ensure that there is, at least they can feed on their own. So the government is trying their best.
Okay. Among states and federation, do you know where Kwara State ranks in terms of all this menace?
Well, with the rate of crimes we are experiencing these days, Kwara State has been known as a state of harmony. But of recent, we notice that we have the armed bandits, armed robbers, kidnappers, and all these are coming up. And that is to show that even when your state is okay, the neighboring state, they will infiltrate. So we have to ensure that we work together to ensure that we put good governance in place so that this crime will reduce. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Oyedeji Olufemi. I'm the CEO Save the Future of Children Initiative. It's a non-governmental organization that is working to promoting the right of children and protecting them from abuse as it is established in the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child. Today, the organization, Safin N.G.O, has pre-launched the PCAT Nigeria project, which is protecting children against trafficking and abuse. This project is premised on the Global Agenda 2030 to ending violence against children, particularly with specific goal 16, target 2, which talks about ending child trafficking and all forms of abuse against children. We will be advocating to the government to put in place structures and mechanisms that will safeguard these children from abuse, exploitation, neglect, and violence. And we'll also be working at the community level to sensitize community leaders, religious leaders, caregivers, and parents, build their skills on positive parenting that will reduce violence against children. We'll also be advocating for other SDGs that are referred to as enabler goals to achieving ending violence against children by 2030, and to ensure that we stop issues of child trafficking, child labor, child abuse. And this goal include SDG Goal 1 that talks about end poverty, SDG Goal 2 that talks about zero hunger, SDG Goal 3 that talks about the well-being of our children, SDG Goal 4 that talks about quality compulsory education as a lifelong learning for children, and then Goal 5 that talks about gender equality. So all these other SDGs, they are enablers to ensuring that we achieve ending violence against children by 2030.
Y la marimba, las maracas con el acordeón, que suene la flauta y la caramba, suene el tambor y el carajo.